Hey viewers, my name's Cara. I'm your host for Tuesdays on the Pagan Perspective, and this week we're talking about Sylvia Browne. Because of the relatively recent rediscovering of the three girls in the Cleveland area who had been held in a house for 10 years, finding them alive, people are now talking about Sylvia Browne again. Sylvia Browne, for those of you who don't know, is a self-identified psychic and medium, and she does readings for people, and she has attempted to help the police in a number of cases and things like that. In 2004, on I believe it was the Montel Williams show, Sylvia told the mother of Amanda Berry that Amanda was dead, that she was gone, and then very recently Amanda and the other girls were found alive. This is not the first time that Sylvia Browne has been wrong about a prediction such as this, so we have been asked to give our opinions on her, and I have to say that I don't know a lot about her in order to really give an opinion. So I did look up some websites, as I usually do, some pros and cons. But even before I get to that, my general opinion about psychics and mediums and things of that nature is that, sure, yes, I do believe that some people have those gifts and those abilities, and I believe for the most part that everyone could have those abilities if we tried to develop them and focused enough on them and worked on it. But usually I think the people who are good at things like that and who truly have this gift, they usually don't portray it the way that some famous psychics have done. They don't usually charge hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a 20-minute telephone reading, and they don't tell people what to do with their lives, and they don't tell people medical diagnoses and things like that. And so it's not that I don't believe that anyone has these abilities, it's just that I really haven't seen a lot of them be real, and the people that I do feel have real abilities in areas like this tend to not go about it the same way that famous people do. And I personally really don't put so much stock into things like that, because even if I do think that someone can do it, I generally won't spend money on it. I don't think that it's something that I personally need. That being said, I did look at a couple websites, and the first, of course, was Sylvia Browne's own website, because you have to see what people are saying about themselves. And on the homepage, there is a small yellow bar that says, "Click here to see her statement about Amanda Berry," so I read that. And her statement is essentially that she never claims to be 100% right, and only God is right 100% of the time, so yes, she was wrong about Amanda Berry being dead, but if she's going to be wrong about something, this is a pretty good thing to be wrong about. And there's also a statement from someone in Amanda Berry's family saying that the family does not blame Sylvia, and they still love her and trust her, and they're glad that she was wrong. But yeah, essentially that's what the website itself says about it. Of course, this is a business for Sylvia, so the website is very commercially based. It's like selling her books, selling her readings, and her son is also featured on the site, Chris, because Chris is also a psychic. He is the only psychic that Sylvia recommends, according to the website, and in the description of how she does her readings and how he does his readings, under his it is explained that they attribute his skills to a genetic predisposition for psychic excellence, which I don't appreciate so much, because I don't believe there is a psychic gene. I think it's something that everyone has the ability to do. And maybe because he has a mother who does these things, Chris was more apt to develop those skills and want to develop those skills. I think that's a real thing if your parents do something and they teach it to you, but I don't think there's a gene for it. Oh, and her website also says that she has been right more than she has been wrong. And then the Wikipedia article talks about how, at least for the things that she's been public about, the big things in the press that she's predicted, or criminal cases that she has helped on, she has been wrong much more than she has been right. And some people who have done studies on her predictions have found that she is no more accurate than educated guessing. And a lot of people can't seem to distinguish what she does from cold reading, which is something that people consider kind of like a stage trick. Again, it's a skill that anyone can develop, and it's not true psychic. What is the noun for that? It's not really being a psychic, it's a different skill entirely. The Wikipedia article talks about a lot of big predictions that she's made, like about presidential elections and high-profile cases and things like that, and how she's been wrong. Then I also took a look at Robert Lancaster's website, which is called StopSylviaBrowne.com, and he has a whole lot of things on there, and I didn't have time to read all of them, but I read one article where he went to see Sylvia Browne in person at one of her shows in Las Vegas. and he wrote an article for his website about the things that were said, and he asked her a pretty polite question. He asked, because everyone gets a chance to ask a question, and so he asked if she could say where and when she had earned her master's in English literature. And that was his question, and that was it. And he said, okay, thank you. And he was walking back to his seat when she started calling him nasty because she recognized him, and she said he has a nasty blog about me and he's a nasty man and all of this stuff. And then after they left the show, some people came up to him, and one person was like, why did you disrespect her like that? And he said, I wasn't being disrespectful until she called me names. And then there were some other people who came up and wanted to talk to him, and they were sharing things like, oh, well, you know that question that I asked her in there? She was totally wrong, or she gave me a really general response and it didn't even make any sense. Robert's friend had asked her to tell him the name of his paternal grandfather, and she got it wrong. She gave him a pretty general American name, but really his grandfather is Danish and has a Danish name, so it's not something that someone could really accurately guess. Another woman had gone up and said that her mother had died 2 days prior, and she wanted to know if she had any messages for her. And Sylvia said she wants you to know that she loves you, and then as the woman walked away, she said, oh, and she loved the service. And later that woman went up to Robert and she said, my mother died 2 days ago. We haven't even had the service yet. I was wondering if my mother was okay with being buried in a nice casket. So just things like that. And then they were talking about how, you know, a lot of her answers were really general and didn't really tell us anything and didn't get very specific. And that's, I think, what a lot of it is. Also on the Wikipedia, there was something that said her first husband, Sylvia's first husband, has openly called her a fraud because of conversations that he had with her. It's noon, the clock's gonna go off for a while. Because of conversations that he had had with her while they were married, such as him asking her how he could tell people these things when she knew they weren't true, and she said, well, if people believe things like this, then they ought to be fooled, basically. And I don't think that's fair either, because I do think there are people out there who can do these things for real. So if your opinion is just that it's all fake or it's all a lie, I don't think that's fair to the people who really do have these skills either, so I don't want to say that. But yeah, essentially, I don't think that people who really have these skills, at least no one that I've ever met who I feel truly can communicate with spirit, they don't charge these exorbitant amounts for it. You know, it's something like $800 for a phone reading or something. So I don't know, I mean, I've never met her, I've never read any of her books, I've never met her, I've never had a reading by her, and I'm not going to spend all that money just to have one. It's not something that I've ever felt I wanted to spend money on. But there's definitely a lot of question about it, especially when things are so general. Sure, maybe it comforts people, and maybe that's really helpful. But on the other argument, there's also, it might be taking advantage of people who are really emotionally unstable and want to find out something, and they pay hundreds of dollars just to find out something that really doesn't tell them a whole lot, but maybe it makes them feel better because they trust people who say that they can do these things. So I really don't know. I never want to speak ill of people that I don't know about personally, but from what I've read and from the things that are known to the public at least, and things that she's claimed, and both the Wikipedia and Robert Lancaster's website have said that Sylvia frequently diagnoses people and like tells them medically what's wrong with them, and sometimes even tells them what kind of pills they should take to fix it. And I don't think anyone in this line of work should ever claim to be a doctor or anything like that, because especially not without any medical training. So I think that's kind of like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. And I don't know. It just doesn't seem very true to me. But I can say that I am also very glad that she was wrong about Amanda Berry. That is all I have to say for this week. I had notes, but I didn't have them in front of me, so that was kind of a hodgepodge, and I was interrupted a few times by things. Hi. You can come down. But I'm going to upload this video widescreen. I'm not uploading them in HD recently because the internet is very slow, so I'm trying to get them up even faster because this is already noon on Tuesday and you need to see this video today. Preferably before I go to work. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.